Good morning, afternoon, everyone. How's it going? All right. Cool. All right, we're back in the basement office down here with my little fish friends in the back there. My dad used to hunt and fish not hunt, fish in tournaments, and those are all his prizes and trophies and stuff. So, and my big, large tarpon fish is over there. I can talk to you guys about it if you really want. So welcome back. It's been a week since we were here with our small business town hall roundtable discussion, and that was just so fun and awesome. And I'm just so pleased that we were joined by those four amazing individuals. And I hope that you guys patronize their small businesses as well, and the rest of our communities as well. Hello, Tracy. Yes, like always, like every week, I can't see if you're watching unless you put an emoji or a comment in the comment box. We will have lots of time for questions today, so if there's any questions that you guys want to ask, feel free to put those in the chat as well, and we'll get to them. All right, so first off, let's start with voting in Carver County. We are up to 4,776 votes cast in Senate District 47 already. That's incredible. That's amazing. 2016, around this time in the state of Minnesota, we were at about 50,000 requests for absentee mail-in ballots. And this time last week, we were up to 1 million requests. So that's huge, huge, huge. And it's wonderful to see so many people, conscious of their community and staying safe. And hey, Nancy and Gary, staying safe and voting from home. It's great to see. And I voted from home as well. So did my mom and my brother. And it was, I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. But so I just want to touch on one thing, that voting counting is set up a little bit differently this year because of the pandemic. And that is okay. It's nothing to be panicked about. It's just a little different so we can be a little safer and all around the board. There is no witness requirement this year, for just the same as the primary voting. So you can vote from home without a witness. That was an exception due to the pandemic. And October 13th is your pre-registration deadline. So if you haven't already registered to vote, you should do that by the 13th to save time on Election Day. That doesn't mean you can't register on Election Day, and it doesn't mean you can't register when you request your mail-in ballot. You can do both. And yeah, Minnesota is one of the few states that has same-day registration, and that's a huge, huge, wonderful thing that we offer. So if you want to save a little bit of time, register ahead of time. If not, just be ready to register at the polls on Election Day. I have talked with a couple election judges this week, and who are wonderful, amazing people, and they're very committed to being nonpartisan. So it wasn't during my calling, it wasn't, are you going to support me? Who are you supporting? It was, they were very, very good and committed to being nonpartisan, but we did talk about the election process and being an election judge. And I want to thank those people, if anyone is watching, that is an election judge or has been in the past, for committing your time and your efforts to doing that. It's not an easy job, and it sounds like it's a long day, but it sounds like it's kind of fun. So I hope you guys have a good time on November 3rd. Yeah, Steve Simon, Secretary Simon, who is one of the best in the nation. I'm so glad we have him. Steve Simon says there's a delay in knowing the outcome of the election. That's by design. Accurate. Absolutely. So as long as your absentee mail-in ballot is postmarked by the 3rd, it will be counted. As long as it's postmarked by the 3rd and received by November 10th, it will be counted. That's something kind of new this year. So rest assured that even if there is a mail delay, which I personally have not experienced recently, that it will be counted if it's received by the 10th, which is phenomenal. So agent delivery. This has been quite a topic of conversation recently, so I just want to outline Minnesota law says that an agent cannot deliver more than 3 ballots, period. Whole election cycle, 3 ballots. And it can't be a candidate, so I can't go around and collect 20 ballots to bring in and drop off. It has to be 3, cannot be a candidate, and there's a process where they identify the agents and mark them and all that. So don't let that narrative scare you. It's not real. The law is that there is only 3 ballots allowed to be delivered by an agent. And again, we may not know the election results on the night of the election, and that's okay. That's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to panic about. We're just taking a little bit longer time because of the influx of absentee ballots that are going to be coming in, and the process is set up a little differently with the counting and verification and stuff. I just want to reiterate, it's so safe. It's so safe. Our voting system is phenomenal. In Minnesota, we have some of the best systems in the country, and we have some of the best election officials in the country. And I can personally say, I know for a fact Carver County has some of the top officials in the state that are running the election office down there in Carver County at the government center, best in the country. So I'm certainly very, very pleased and excited with how the process is going so far, and I hope that you guys are as well. Yes, one thing I do want to outline that Nancy put in the comments or in the chat here, that you can check the status of your absentee ballot. So if you've requested one and it hasn't come yet, you can see what date it's going to be sent to you. After you send it in, you can see what date it was received, and that it will be counted or it was rejected, which is really nice. So you can keep tabs on where your ballot is. So my personal ballot and my mom's, we voted on the same day, same time. We received ours on Thursday, did our research over the weekend on some of the candidates we didn't know as well. We sent it in on Monday, and it was received about 3 days later. My brother, same thing. He didn't send it in until I think Tuesday, and it was received Friday then. But it was like one day after us. So it's about 3 to 4 days lag time in receiving it. But you can check all that. There's a chat or something in the comments. That's a great question, Chris. We'll get to that for sure. That's on my agenda for today. So, where was I? Yes. Okay, voting early in person. I want to touch on that too. I've talked with a bunch of people who have either filled in their mail-in ballots at home and dropped them off in person, or have just voted early in person. If you go earlier in the day, of course, there's less of a line, but I think there was about an hour wait at Chaska the last I heard, kind of in the busiest time of the day, and hardly any wait in Waconia. So Waconia residents only, not Waconia Township, and not obviously around Waconia. Waconia residents only can vote at the City Hall. Check on the website for those hours, and then everyone else can vote early in person at the Chaska Government Center. I have heard from multiple people that it is safe, like social distancing wise, sanitation and all that. Very, very secure as far as election process goes, and that it was really easy. And they'll talk you through it if you don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. Don't be afraid. They will talk you through it. They're wonderful folks over there. So, highly recommend that if you are at all concerned that you may not be available on election day. Maybe you have to work that day. Maybe you will be out of town that day. Maybe you're worried about, a lot of folks voting in person, and, not adhering to the social distancing guidelines. Go ahead and vote in person. I promise you it is easy, it is safe, and it is secure. Promise. So one thing I want to reiterate as far as voting on election day is that the same laws apply. So when it comes to firearm laws, for example, those buildings that you are not allowed to carry in, that's still going to apply on election day. And those that you are, still going to apply on election day. That doesn't change. Law enforcement is not allowed to be within 50 feet of the building unless they are there to vote themselves. So there shouldn't be, people standing outside or, anything like that. You are allowed to vote in person if you've requested a mail-in ballot, so long as you do not do both. All right. So if you requested a mail-in ballot and you get it and you say, actually, I want to vote in person, tear that one up, throw it in the trash, go vote in person. You can't do both. Obviously, you cannot vote twice. Please don't do that. But you can go vote in person if you've requested your mail-in ballot. Just do not do both. So keep that in mind. One thing I want to also touch on is poll watchers. I think based on the presidential debate, that's come up a little bit. Poll watchers are officially designated by a majority party ahead of time on official letterhead and all. There's a whole process for it. It's not just a random person showing up and watching the polls. So, and any challenges that are made have to be made on personal knowledge, not just suspicion. So keep that in mind as well. The state party has set up, the DFL party has set up a couple different kind of cool things that we can take advantage of and use. iwillvote.com. It's actually a national organization that set up that website. But if you go to iwillvote.com, it currently allows Minnesota voters to confirm where you're going to vote early in person and confirm where you're going to vote on election day, just depending on which one you decide. So check that, and you can check your voter registration status. You can register to vote. You can learn more about the dates and deadlines for voting, ID information, how to fill out your mail-in ballot, how to track your mail-in ballot. And mnvotes.org/tracker has now been set up to easily track where your ballot is. And then there is a voting hotline, like a voter protection hotline that the state party has set up that is staffed by volunteers and attorneys. And that is managed and staffed by the coordinated campaign, the voter protection campaign. So that number is 833-DFL-VOTE. If you have questions, go ahead and call them, and they will be staffed 24, I think it's 24/7. I know they're bumping up their staff a lot on election day. So if you see anything, kind of fishy, or you have a question, go ahead and call them. They're ready to help. They're wonderful. And then last thing on voting, do not forget to vote down the ticket as well, right? President, U.S. Senator, vote for me for state senator, obviously, House candidates, and then keep going. We've got, depending on where you are in the county, you've got city council, you've got school board, town supervisor, soil and water board, and then turn it over. Don't forget to turn it over. Waconia has a referendum for the schools. I would encourage a yes vote on that. And then do not forget the Supreme Court, Minnesota Supreme Court vote. Paul Thiessen is phenomenal. We have got to send him back. He has got to keep doing the work he's doing, and his opponent is quite frightening. So please, please, please go ahead and vote for the Supreme Court as well. All right, Capitol update really fast. There's not much. There's not much to update you guys on. We're anticipating another special session coming up here in the next week or two. Hasn't been called yet, to my knowledge. I personally don't have insight as to what's going to be discussed. I have guesses. I don't personally have an update on county commissioner too. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. Don't forget the commissioner races. Super, super important. And mayors as well. Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, absolutely. Fill out your entire ballot. End of story. So yeah, no update on the bonding bill based on the meetings that I know have been trying to happen and not fully happening. I don't have a lot of hope for the bonding bill to be passed this next special session. I don't have a lot of hope for much of anything to be passed this special session. It's going to be, if I had to guess, it would be more of the same, more of what we've seen, kind of, the Senate not participating, firing a commissioner, whichever one they choose, MPCA's commissioner maybe, I don't know. More partisan shenanigans that just more election stuff, right? It's not helpful. It's not what we're paying these people to go do. We're paying them, our tax dollars are going to have them be, at the Capitol and working together, even virtually, having these meetings and coming up with solutions to, cover us when we get out of this peacetime emergency. I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not, a future fortune teller or whatever, but I don't anticipate there being a whole lot of movement or action this year, or this special session, I'm sorry. Supreme Court ruling in Wisconsin that limited the governor's ability to extend emergency powers. I don't know that case off the top of my head. I know it has not been litigated here fully. I know it's gone to, I think, a district court. It's gone up the chain, might get to the Minnesota Supreme Court. So when people are saying, Walz's powers are unconstitutional and they're illegal, that's not accurate at all. It hasn't been litigated, so we can't say that they are constitutional or not, or unconstitutional, whatever. We can't say that. So yeah, it drives me nuts. As a law student, a law grad, it drives me crazy when people say, this is unconstitutional, and we get emails about it all the time at work, but it's not the case. There's a little gray area in the law where Walz wouldn't have to call the legislature back, but as I've said and reiterated it every week, he wants to work with the legislature. There are certain people within leadership of the legislature that will not show up to those meetings, but he wants to. The administration wants to, agencies want to. There's a lot of folks that want to work together, but if you have some bad actors that aren't showing up and aren't, meeting, we can't, right? So, Walz could certainly push more and take more control and power. But he's, that's not the administration's MO, right? That's not their gig. Yeah, it drives me batty. All right. I will say too, the housing assistance, there's a COVID-related housing assistance program where 19,000 people, more than 19,000 people have already applied for housing assistance. And then we have a moratorium on evictions right now, and that's under the peacetime emergency. And I've said many times in previous town halls, what happens if we lift the peacetime emergency, we would be the second state in the entire country to do it. We would be going against even the president. The president and 49 governors agree that we're still in a state of emergency and we still need to have these orders and these powers. So if we were to lift that, it just doesn't make any sense. And we would be getting rid of a lot of protections, and one of those is the moratorium on evictions. And if we do not have a safety net, a backup plan for those restrictions to be lifted, we're going to face a lot of hardships, a ton of hardships. I'm very, very concerned about this moratorium on evictions lifting with no, assistance plan, facing mass evictions. And that's a huge cost to taxpayers. Anyone, facing homelessness, that's a horrible place to be in. And there are programs set up to help those folks, but overwhelming the system with what we've got now is not going to cut it. It's not going to be okay. It's going to be a huge tax burden. To try to make up for all that if we do that really kind of rash decision of just taking away the peacetime emergency with no backup plan, no contingency plan. I would hate to see that. And if I was there, I would not vote to lift the peacetime emergency at this point. Again, Senator Little had an amendment that was swiftly voted down, unfortunately, to start the conversation of what parameters can we lift that peacetime emergency. And I think that would help a lot of Minnesotans understand, where we are at. With these restrictions and lifting them and what comes with it and what we're going to need. We have to have that conversation. Until Senate leadership commits to having that conversation, we're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to be more of this partisan nonsense that's just, it drives me nuts. Anyway, enough ranting on that. So let's transition to a COVID update, and we'll get to Chris's question after this. In Carver County, we're up to 1,493 cases, 1,493 cases. We're still at 7 deaths, which I want to say is good, but we have 7 deaths. We have 7 families in our community who aren't going to have that person sitting there next to them at, the family dinner. And I can't say that that's good. I think it's horribly tragic, and my heart breaks for those folks. We have 69 hospitalizations, and again, that is terrifying. They're recommending, the CDC is recommending now, and I think the WHO said it as well, to get your flu shot mid-October, if that's something that you do. I got mine, super easy. Oh, you did, Leah? Yeah, I love Senator Little. He's phenomenal. Yeah, Lakeville's fun. It's a fun place. I really admire Senator Little's leadership and his, ability to be pragmatic and examine the situation from all sides. It's something I strive to do as well. So, So on the COVID update, we learned this week that nobody is immune. The virus does not care if you are of one party or the other, if you're a leader of something or not, if you're whatever age you are, race you are. The virus doesn't care. And we learned that this week, unfortunately. So the president now is being treated with a cocktail of kind of experimental drugs that the Mayo Clinic came up with. So just yet another, kudos to our phenomenal medical community here in Minnesota. The folks that were at the fundraiser in Shorewood, right next door, there was about 40 people there. Just a little nerve-wracking, a lot nerve-wracking to think that some of those folks, and all of those folks, were exposed to someone who has it. And I hope that they are well, and they are quarantining, and they are taking precautions to not further the spread into our communities, since it was right next door. It's a little nerve-wracking. Yesterday, Wisconsin broke their single-day record with 2,900 positive cases. That's a single-day record for them. Also yesterday, Minnesota had its 4th day in a row of reporting over 1,000 new positive cases, breaking a single-day record yesterday of 1,421 new cases. This is not going away, folks. This is getting worse. The CDC came out and said that they expect a lot more deaths over the next 2 weeks, and that it shatters my heart. I just cannot imagine someone else losing another family member to this virus. And it's going to happen. So we really, I hope that that everyone that's ill right now recovers, and they have a renewed sense of responsibility on how important it is to wash your hands, wear your mask in public, wear your mask around other people. Don't shake hands, don't hug, don't do any of the things you're not supposed to do. Just care about your community members and follow the guidelines. I really hope that this is can turn into something positive, and that we can all commit to looking out for each other and doing the best we can to make sure that everyone in our community is safe. Now, I had this conversation with someone on the phone the other day about, even if I didn't like somebody, there's very few people I don't really like, but even if I didn't like somebody and I knew that doing one small little thing like wearing a mask around them would keep them safe, I would do it because I care about my fellow human beings. And I really, really hope that we can get to a place where we're all there. We're all looking out for each other regardless of who you are, where you come from, what you look like. Kim said, if our Minnesota eviction moratorium is lifted prior to the 31st of December, the CDC federal version is still in effect and set to expire 12/31. CDC version covers non-payment of rent. The Minnesota version covers much more. Absolutely, exactly right. The Minnesota version is one extra layer of protection that is protecting thousands of people right now that the federal will not be. We got to consider that. We have to have a backup plan for that. Yes, and there is nothing magic about 6 feet of social distancing. If someone is shouting or singing, I'll say 6 feet is not enough. Yep, they're coming out and saying, it's more like 10, 12 feet that we're supposed to be apart from each other. So it's not going away. That's my point. We have got to be careful. We have got to care about our fellow humans and do the very, very, very best we can. I hear every single day from folks on the phones, I just want to go visit my grandkids. I just want my kids to go back to school full-time in person. I just want to be able to go to a show. I miss concerts. Personally, I miss concerts like wild. I love concerts. But we won't get there. It's just going to keep extending and extending and extending unless we all commit to getting this virus under control and adapting to the new normal, Just in the last couple days too, I had a conversation with someone about a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, who had said, I just want to go live my life, and living in quarantine is not living. So I'm not worried about the virus, so I'm going to fly around and travel and take pictures without a mask at a bar with my friends. And that is so deeply hurtful to me, like in my mind, to people who don't have that option, like my mom, for example. The longer people like that go out and say, I'm just going to live my life and, be selfish, the longer people like my mom, people that have, pre-existing conditions, cancer, they're in the higher age bracket or some kind of immunocompromised position, or they live with someone that's like that, the longer we all can't do that too. And that's just not fair. It's not right. And it's horrible to have to reconcile that. So anyway, so we're at 2,080 deaths total in Minnesota. And those are only lab-confirmed positive tests. Only. Those numbers are not inflated. They are only lab-confirmed positive tests. 2,080 deaths in Minnesota. Now, beyond that, the long-term effects we're seeing in some folks that are struggling to recover, kind of hanging on a lot. We're hearing a lot of, hanging on of the virus and the symptoms that people just cannot get over. One of my good friends is recovering from it and said it is really no joke. It is terrible, terrible. And we're hearing kind of long-term effects on cardiac situations that it's difficult for people to recover from. And we really don't know the super long-term effects, right? It's only been in existence since about February, March that we knew of. So we just don't know. And that's terrifying to me, that someone might become infected through no fault of their own, or through fault of their own, or, whatever it might be. And they would take years and months to recover. I don't want that for anyone in my community. I don't want that one for anyone ever in general. All right, couple questions here. If you could go to a concert, who would you like to see? Shows you've missed due to COVID: Leslie Odom Jr., Mason Jennings, Nick Cave. Yes, I missed Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats at Red Rocks. I missed the Avett Brothers, who are my all-time favorite. I've seen them 16 times, so I guess I can't. I can miss one or two, but I missed two of theirs and two of Nathaniel Rateliff. And I'm a big metal fan too, which might surprise some of you, might not surprise some of you, but I've missed a lot of really good metal shows, and a lot of my close friends that are musicians. I have a ton of friends in the music community here in Minnesota, and I've missed a lot of their shows too. And their stories are so different. Having trouble finding work, and if they're gig workers, they don't, necessarily qualify for unemployment and that kind of thing. Yeah, Gary and Nancy, you guys are rock stars. They've been self-quarantining since March 13th. Yeah, and Leah, you're right. We do need you guys. Yeah, absolutely. That's tough. It's really tough, and it's not fair. Sorry, getting a phone call here. Okay, so let's do a quick Carver County update. We'll start with something that's pretty tough to discuss. All right, so buckle in here. There is a gentleman named Daniel Dromelum, who he's a third-degree sex offender and is being released to live here. Just actually right down the street from me. Like, I could walk to the house that they're going to live in. I grew up here, and I grew up knowing that family. I didn't know him personally. I was friends with his sister in high school. I am very good friends with one of his victims, and I'm in a group, an advocacy group with her as well, and we work kind of side by side. So I know details of the case and how tragic it was. And I must say that the Carver County Sheriffs did a listening session, or like an informational session, that's posted everywhere online. You can find it on their page. And they did a really good job of outlining precautions and what to expect, and hearing out folks' concerns. So if there is kind of some lasting concerns, which completely understandable, you can call them and talk to them. They're more than willing to have that conversation with you. And I want to say it's not their fault that they're not allowing this person to be released and come live in our community. They have no choice. So if folks are mad about that, I am. If folks are mad about that, be mad at the laws. Be mad at the folks that are roadblocking the changes to those laws that would allow a third-degree sex offender to be released from prison and live in our communities. It's not up to our sheriffs. It's up to our sheriffs to keep us safe, but it's not up to them to block this person from living in our community. They don't have the authority to do that. So if we are upset about it, we need to take it to the legislature and have them change the laws. And I, for one, am more than happy to have that conversation with anybody who wants to. Okay, positive thing here. The Eastern Carver County School Board approved use of CARES Act funding from the federal government to put in new air exchanges in the schools. So all of our students that are in schools are having cleaner, healthier air. And a comment made during that meeting where they approved it was that someone's colleague in Anoka had done the same thing, I think even the same brand, and they said it was a game changer. Easier to keep the kids and staff safe. And, it's kind of a win-win. It's one of the few win-wins that are coming out of the COVID-19 era here. So I applaud them for doing that. Okay, Nancy had a great question. What changes would you advocate to prevent sex offenders from living in our communities? For a very, very violent third-degree sex offender like Dromelum, he should not be released from prison at this point. He's served very minimal time. I don't think he should have been released from prison, and I think that our laws are not strong enough on sexual assault cases. I think, what's the word I'm looking for? Statutory limitations means that you have 2 years to report a crime. My personal story, I didn't admit that I was raped until 10 years later. It took me 10 years to grapple with that. And when it's a trauma like that, it's very difficult to come to terms with it, be strong enough to speak your mind on it, and go testify. And, our laws are very weak in that area, I think. So we're allowing a lot of things to slip through the cracks, and a lot of lenience to happen where it shouldn't. So I would definitely argue that we need to either extend or eliminate the statute of limitations for those kinds of crimes. Re-examine how we cross-examine and hold trials within those spaces and those cases, and Joe Mellum's case actually happened on a campus, and I had a really big part in writing a bill for Chair Bernardi that would um, equalize cases. We're seeing a lot of different treatment from different colleges and universities when sexual assault happens on or off their campuses and it's associated or affiliated with the campus, with the school. We're seeing a lot of different ways of approaching those, the treatments of that, and we just need an equalizer for that. We need one standard response, parameter, and then within that, the schools can decide how to best handle the case according to their, workload and capacity. But it's long story short, I think our laws are really weak in sexual assault crimes, and we need to strengthen those. Okay, and one more quick kind of positive, happy update as far as Carver County goes. I saw a great article, you can find it on Southwest News Media, of a middle schooler who sewed 100 masks in 7 days. She's real committed to keeping her community safe, and she committed to making 100 masks, I think it was 100 masks, in 7 days, and got it done. And we're still seeing all over the community boards, people making masks and handing them out to community members or doing donation-based stuff, and it's cool to see. It's really, really nice to see people pulling together still. I appreciate that. All right, so to get back to Chris's question, what are we hearing on the phones from constituents? I'm so proud. I am so proud of you guys. I have to give you this campaign update that I just checked today, and through the course of this campaign, since the start, we've been campaigning for over a year now, which seems wild. I don't even know what I'm going to do with spare time after the election, but our campaign has made over 30,000 phone calls and text messages. Over 30,000. That's awesome. I mean, and it's not me personally. I'm certainly contributing to it, but it's a whole huge group of people organized by our incredible team and staff who are making these outreach phone calls and text messages. We've held over 30 virtual town halls and online events. We have the endorsement of about 23 organizations and a couple really major elected officials, and more on the way. We've got community endorsements rolling in. We're putting those on the website and the Facebook social media as well. Check those out. And if you want to submit one, please let us know. We're happy to put that on the website as well. So a couple stories. I'm hearing a lot consistently, and it's something that I'm extremely proud of. Is that we're getting support from people all across the political aisle, every side of the coin, right? We're getting Republicans, independents, Democrats, progressives, new voters, people who've never voted before, people who have always voted one party or one way and they're going to vote a different way this year. And it's consistent. It is every single time I'm on the phones. Those are the kinds of things that I'm hearing. So one fun thing I just wanted to share is I had two conversations that were almost identical, one after the next. And it was two people who typically voted for Republicans. And, I've certainly voted for Republicans in the past myself. I get it. That are considering voting for me this year, or will be voting for me, because we were able to connect about being outdoors enthusiasts. We were able to connect about fishing. Both of them asked me about tune line fishing, about hunting, about increasing the bag limit on turkeys, or coyote hunting and that kind of stuff. And we were able to have those connections and talk about it because I've done it. I'm here. I'm with you guys. I grew up here. I have the same shared values that you all have. I have the same shared experiences that you all have. And it's really rewarding to get to connect with people and break through that partisan divide, break through the politics, right? And just connect with your community and just connect with people that you have something in common with. And you can say, yeah, actually, let's change the law on that. That's a good idea. Okay, we'll do that. Yesterday, actually, I had a long conversation with a wonderful woman about something I didn't know about. You all know that I'm very passionate about mental health services and folks getting the care that they need and having mental health services be part of that accessible, affordable health care plan. And I am very passionate about addiction counseling and medication and treatment as well. And my good friend Dan Kessler, that's running for the 47B House side, is a mental health professional. He's also very vocal on this. Yeah, Nancy, that's right. My opponent is from Minneapolis, and there's not a lot of hunters and fishers in Minneapolis. I'll just say that. But my friend Dan Kessler is a phenomenal. He's very vocal on the mental health piece of this as well. And I was talking with this woman yesterday, and she had intended to reach out to me earlier, and I was just glad I got on the phone with her yesterday, and she was telling me about the lack of Medicare-covered adult alcohol addiction beds in Minnesota. And I thought, surely we've got a couple here in Carver County. Surely we've got plenty in Minnesota. And she informed me that we do not. We do not. And that's something that's really scary if you have a person who wants to get treatment. They get into a facility and they're so worried about when they're going to get kicked out because of money. Now, how can you possibly focus on your recovery if you're so worried about money and when you're going to get kicked out? You don't know if you should do the homework for the next day because you might have to leave. You don't know if you should, you're not really fully 100% committing to bettering yourself and getting better and getting the care that you need if you're so concerned about getting kicked out due to money. So that was something that I didn't realize the gravity of the situation and how desperate that issue is. For us to fix. And that's something that I am very excited to work on. And I'm very excited to have that community member, be involved in that process when I get to the state legislature. I told her to save my number and give me a call and let's do it. That kind of thing is something that I have had firsthand experience in my work at the state legislature. I take those calls when they first come in to the representatives that I work for, and I can think offhand of a few right on off the bat that, I went directly to their office and said, hey, this constituent has this great idea, let's make it happen. And the representative said, yeah, let's do it. And then we get to work and do it. And I've had firsthand experience in every step of that process, from taking that initial call to, learning more about the situation and how the laws are currently written, how we can fix them, working with our nonpartisan staff and House research, and Senate Council has the same, to craft that law and that bill so it works within the current laws or changes the current laws appropriately, and building coalitions behind that bill, whether it's advocacy from other constituents to other representatives or directly meeting with other representatives and senators to get support behind those bills. You get co-authors, you get people supporting, and I'll talk to this chair, I'll talk to this person, yep, this is a great idea, let's make it happen. You get people to buy into it, not only based on what it could do for their constituents, but what it could do for the state, right? And so there are going to be situations where we're going to have to ask for something that's specifically Carver County related. And in order to get that done, in order to get other folks to care, someone from Duluth or Bemidji to care about what happens in Carver County, it's those relationships that we have built up ahead of time. And I've had the pleasure and the distinction of, building those relationships over the past couple years. I know which experts to go to. I know who's in charge of what. I know, how to get this done for our community, and I'm really excited to do that for us. So things like, this woman that I talked with yesterday, I know that we can do that, and we can try our hardest. You can never guarantee that a bill is going to pass, but you can do everything in your ability to get that done, and I know that I can do that. I'm not really how do I say this without swearing, half in kind of person. I do something 100% or I don't do it at all. I'm just not a wishy-washy kind of person. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I'm elected, I will show up to every meeting. I will take those votes. I will not miss a thing. That is not my thing. I'm not a half-in kind of person. Yeah. Authenticity. Yes. Thank you guys. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is people are excited to hear on the phones. They're excited to hear from a candidate, first of all, which is really shocking to me because I've been doing this work for a year now, and then for other people before that. So it's fun to hear people, know me without actually knowing me, or they know the name and then they want to tell me this story. They want to share this experience, or they want to share this goal that they have. I talked to someone the other day, actually, staunch Republican, who actually has switched his vote now, is going to vote for me because we were able to connect on veteran housing. He's very passionate about building veteran housing, and he thought, well, if I can get enough money, I can have veteran housing, sober housing, and do it myself and regulate it myself because the state isn't keeping up with the need. The county's doing a great job trying to keep up with that need, but there's just a lack of funding there. So, I said I would support that and do everything I could to support that. And, we were able to connect on that. and he wouldn't have had that otherwise had we not been putting in this work, right? So it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to talk with folks and have them openly share their experiences and their goals and their dreams with you. And then I'm getting goosebumps right now. It's even more rewarding to say, I know how to do that. I know you need to talk to this person, we can write the bill this way, and let's get it done. It's very exciting. You hear these people who, and it was never me. I never thought like, oh, I want to be a public servant, and I want to, I was I was on the horse training train. I wanted to be a prosecutor at one point. Politics was never in the game. And now that I've seen how it works and I've seen where my unique skill set and experience can help, it's all I want to do. This is not for the money, for the fame. Like, I don't care that that's my name on the sign. I don't care that that's my picture. I care that I get to help the community, that I get to be in a space where I can say, yes, this person needs a seat at the table. Yes, this community that's underrepresented needs to be heard. Yes, we need to have them at the table. We need to have them involved in that conversation and make it happen. And not because I'm a bully, not because I'm going to go in there and push people around and be antagonistic and say, if you don't believe in this, then you're this, you're, divisive stuff. It's not because of that. It's because I'm real and honest, and people know that they can trust me. And I don't care. I'm going to reiterate this again. I know I say it every week. I don't care where a good idea comes from. A good idea is a good idea. I do not care where it comes from. So if someone's got a good idea, let's make that happen. We need so much more of that at the Capitol, you guys. So much more. There's a lot on both sides of, not helping each other and tit for tat kind of stuff. And it's just, it's a waste of our tax dollars. It's a waste of our time. Let's get together and do something better. Okay. I've gone off about this far too much. Thank you, Chris. Yes, I do have some pretty valuable experience moving policy through the Capitol, and I must thank the people that I work with for that. There's folks that, there's some staffers that go in and just 9 to 5 do the job and clock the hours and do the job, and that's it. Some of us want to do more, and certain representatives and senators and folks will let you do that. And I've worked for several really, really great representatives who have allowed me the chance to do that. I've actually written bills. I've actually convened stakeholder meetings. I've actually written speeches that representatives have given on the floor. I have actually written a letter to Congress, actually to Betsy DeVos as well, and her, Diane Howard-Jones, her undersecretary, that I got 62 representatives signed onto of both parties. I got to do that because the representatives allowed me to do that. And it's invaluable experience, honestly. It's something that I cannot wait to put into play for us here in our community. It's very exciting. I'm getting chills thinking about it. I do also want to say, people are asking me, they're kind of, if I say, this is Addie Miller, I'm running for the Minnesota State Senate here in Carver County, and they say, well, what party? That's almost always the first question, right? What party? Well, I'm endorsed by the Democratic Party. However, I am enjoying, support from all walks of the political aisle, all walks of life. And I'm very proud of that. And then that kind of is almost disarming. Okay, let's talk about that, because that's how politics used to be. Most of us that live here, we know that is how it used to be. So the common sense leadership that I'm intending to bring, people like that. People identify with that. We are so tired as a community, as a state, as a country of this just divisive anger, hatred, fear-mongering, othering people. We're tired of that. It's not working. It's just getting worse and worse and worse the more that we buy into that. So when people hear this like optimism and hope, and I've got the experience to get it done. I've got the temperament to get it done. I'm gonna fight for the things that we believe in. I'm going to fight for our values and our experiences and what we need here. But I'm gonna do it in a way that's building coalitions and making sure that we're expanding the table, that we are making sure that every person that's affected by a decision has a seat in that decision-making table, in that discussion. And we're doing it in a way that is kind and hopeful and optimistic. And it's not always easy. It's not always fun. It's not always, happy-go-lucky, rose-colored glasses. There are really tough decisions that we're going to have to make. We're facing a $7.2 billion deficit in the next session that we're going to have to make tough decisions. And you always hear, oh, Democrats just want to raise taxes. Well, if we think we're just going to raise taxes and get us out of here, that is naive. We're going to have to make cuts. We're going to have to budget really carefully and appropriately. That's going to be very difficult. But it's going to need to be done by someone who is committed to doing the work, who will show up, and who is willing to work with everyone there, willing to have conversations that you don't want to have, and have work with people that you do not see eye to eye with. Some of my favorite, relationships that I have with some legislators at the Capitol now are people that I could not disagree with more. But they're great people, and you know that they're going to show up and do the work, and they're going to have a very different opinion from you, but there is a middle ground that you can find, and that's success right there. That's it. So I think people are identifying with that when we're on the phones with them. They're identifying with the fact that I'm looking out for you guys. I'm not a climber. I'm not trying to get to Congress or state party or state office, whatever. No, I want state government. I want this position, and I want to work for you. I am here for you. Is the budget deficit due in part to COVID expenses? Yes, almost entirely due to COVID expenses. So we had a little bit of a surplus, a tiny bit. Now, what was reported in the media and what everyone kind of hangs on is this huge surplus that we had. That was not, and MMB was very out front that calculation did not take into consideration inflation. Right? So it's not exactly like a line-by-line accurate comparison, apples to oranges, right? Now, we had a bit of a surplus that we've now kind of gone through with all of the COVID expenses, and we're not getting enough support from the federal level, as we've seen. The Senate and House can't really get their act together to help us out here, so we're having to make up for it with our own reserves, and every agency I know is scraping at the bottom of the barrel to try to make this work. We're in a hiring freeze. I actually was trying to get into a different department in my job, and they're on a hiring freeze right now. All the agencies, I believe, are, and we're potentially going to have to furlough some workers. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen, but I can tell you that everyone is committed to cutting as much as they can and making this work. Lucy, you're the best. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. RBG said that. Ooh, you're gonna make me cry. RBG said that, and that is something that I truly, truly believe in. No one wants to feel stupid or wrong, and othering people and antagonizing and attacking people and fear-mongering tactics. That's not how you get stuff done. When has that ever worked? Honestly, ask yourself, when have you ever been able to say, hey, you're wrong and you're stupid, and have that person change their opinion? You can't. It doesn't work. And it's the same thing with politics. These are people. These are humans. It's not a robot writing out laws. It's a group of folks working together to get it done. And I truly, truly believe that. There are times where we're going to have to help out other representatives and senators, and there are times where they're going to have to help us out, and that's how it is. I don't know what else to say. That is what it is. Mm-hmm. Awesome, Leah. Thank you. I love that. Guys, I'm feeling really good. I'm really excited and hopeful. At a time when our country is so divided and our state is so divided, and it can seem very heavy. My friends keep calling it doom scrolling, where you wake up and you check Twitter, Facebook, the news, whatever it is, and you can just doom scroll all day long. Oh, this is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and you can go into a spiral. It is so easy to do that. So at a time when this is so scary and heavy feeling, you can connect with people in your community, people that you've never talked to before. I've not met or talked to a lot of the folks that I'm on the phones with. And you can find something that you share and you believe, whether that's just, a love of dogs or something. There's always something that you have in common with someone. And you can say, and it'll surprise you too. I'm constantly shocked at the stuff I hear on the phones in a good way. Folks that you would never think would think about things like racial justice, for example. Business owners that traditionally you would assume maybe don't really care about things like that, but that's all they care about. Folks that are, I just actually talked to a senior couple a couple days ago. It was a while ago, maybe about a week ago. And I assumed that they didn't have, children in the district, so they were in their 80s. And they were so concerned about the failure of the Eastern Carver County Schools referendum, and what are we going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? Our kids deserve world-class education, and we are known in Carver County for having that world-class education. So how do we make sure that the funding supports that, and we can continue to offer that. And it's fun to hear that concern from people and say, yeah, actually, I agree with you, and I'm going to fight for fully funding public education systems, so we're not relying on operating levies and referendums. And you connect with people in the strangest ways, and it's the most rewarding thing. And it's kind of one of the only things that's giving me hope for the future right now, is that here in our community, and I don't know, it's probably different in other communities, but here in Carver County, we can do that. We can do that. We can connect with each other. We can look out for each other. We can agree on things, or agree to disagree in a way that's kind and polite. I just talked to someone yesterday who's intending to vote for my opponent. We had the nicest conversation. And at the end, he said, well, thank you for your time. I don't really agree with you, but I appreciate it. Kindness and niceness. You don't have to just hate the other people. Anyway. All right, we've got 10 more minutes left. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I'm going to run down our next stack of events that we have coming up here. So today, right after this, actually at 4 o'clock, we're having a Team 47 phone bank. So Dan Kessler was running for the House seat on the B side, the eastern side, and Arlen Brinkmeyer is running for the House seat on the A side, western side of the district here where I live. And me, obviously. We're going to have a phone bank. So if it's something that you want to do, you're interested in doing, and it's kind of scary, phone banking might not be your thing, this is a really good opportunity to do that. We're calling a very friendly list, and it's going to be easy and fun, and the DFL chair, Ken Martin's going to kick us off. So that'll be fun. All this information, by the way, is on the Facebook page and the website as well, so please sign up ahead of time. Chaska Indivisible is having a meeting on Monday, tomorrow, that is tomorrow, yes, tomorrow evening, with the candidates for the 47, for my race, and the B side, so Dan Kessler as well. I've been on the phone too much, talking, losing my voice. So all of those candidates have been invited. I'm not sure who's going to be there, but that will be live streamed as well. And we're having a phone bank with U.S. Senator Tina Smith, yay, on Tuesday from 5 to 7, and that will also be a very fun event. If you're curious about phone banking, Tina is phenomenal. We definitely need to get her back to the Senate for us, and I'm happy to team up with her to get that done in Carver County here. So please sign up to help us there. We have an agriculture and farming town hall coming up on the 11th. I know I've got the chair of the House Ag Committee joining us, and the government relations director for the Minnesota Farmers Union will be with us. And I'm working on one other special guest for you guys, so we'll see. We have a candidate forum coming up. It's for all Carver County state legislative candidates. All have been invited. That is October 12th at 7 p.m. That information will be on our Facebook page, I think, Wednesday morning. And there is a space to send questions ahead of time. Yes, thank you. There's the sign up in the chat right there for the event today, the phone bank today. We are having a yoga fundraiser. Yay! You guys know I'm a big yogi and I love it. I haven't been doing it enough, honestly. It's such a good opportunity to look inward to yourself and just kind of block out the world for an hour. And we have 2 phenomenal instructors teaching yoga for us, with us, and being in community with us. So that is going to be a fundraising event. It's going to be our last big fundraising event of the season. So that will be October 17th at 11 a.m. That will be offered in English and Spanish, and it will be beginner friendly. If you have never done yoga before, if you don't think you can do it, there's going to be a ton of modifications. So everyone can do it. Everybody. This is a very inclusive space, an inclusive event. So if you want to give it a shot, even just to be there and meditate with us, do it. It's going to be fun. Then on the 18th, for our town hall, our virtual town hall, we're having a community town hall and a conversation on anti-racism. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be great. I think some of you guys might be pretty sick of me talking on a camera for an hour, so we're going to have folks from the community come on and share their stories. So you guys get a taste of what I get to, what the volunteers get to do on the phones. We're going to do it in real time here. So we're going to have some folks share their stories, and then the second half will be a conversation on being anti-racist, which is something near and dear to my heart and something we all need to commit to. So very excited about that as well. All right. Any other questions? It can be silly questions. I don't mind. All right. We are down to the home stretch. I think we're at, 29 or 30 days left till the election. Oh, also, please share with your community, your fellow community members, your friends and family, anyone in Minnesota really, that once you vote, you get marked as voted. You don't get the calls anymore, right? So, well, let me take that back, or give a caveat, I guess. If you have, it's when your vote is collected and counted, not counted, but collected. So if so it'll say like marked voted for me because my absentee ballot's already in and connected and marked as received. So if you voted early in person, or if you dropped off your ballot and that was received, or if you mailed it in and that was received, you get marked as voted. And then we don't call you anymore. We don't mail you anymore. We don't bug you anymore. So the way to get all of the politics and stuff to stop, minus the digital ads, we don't really control that. Go vote, go vote, and then you get taken off the list. Oh, Sally, thank you. I strive really hard to be someone who is approachable and who can take criticism and learn and grow and adapt. And it's something that I've worked really hard on over the years. So that means a lot. Thank you. I want, my office when I get to the Senate, to virtually always be open, right? So, of course, with COVID restriction guidelines and stuff, but I want folks to feel like they can talk to me and share their stories and share their concerns, whether we agree or disagree. There's a couple kind of hot button issues that I've taken a stance on that not everyone agrees on, and I'm more than happy to have those conversations with folks. And that is something that I will always strive to do. Always, always. Silly question. What's your favorite hot beverage to keep in a tumbler? Chai tea, hands down. Oat milk, chai tea with either maple spice flavoring, or if you go to Starbucks, toffee nut flavoring. It's probably super unhealthy for you and full of sugar, but a good chai tea, sign me up. I have a lot of like allergies, so I can't have anything with like dairy or honey in it, so I can't do the pumpkin spice thing that everyone does. So I'm still trying to like make up, a vegan version of that. That tastes the same, I guess, but that chai with that maple spice, top notch. Woo! Sleepy time tea. You know what, you guys, I do. I go to bed really early, but lately I have, there's just so much on my mind. It's so much going on, and we have so much to do, and I'm still working a full-time job and doing a lot of other things, working on the farm, running things. So yeah, I do need sleepy time tea. Yeah, I do love a good glass of oat milk. I'll share a funny story with you guys too before we go. When I worked for Congresswoman McCollum, who is honestly one of the greatest people on this planet, I adore her. She took us all out as like a after election brunch, and we went to French Meadow, and I ordered the hemp milk chai, which is my favorite there. And she kind of looked at it. She said, "What is that?" "Oh, I think I'll order it." And she ordered one, and she took a sip, and she just set it down and slid it over to me, and she goes, "It tastes like grass." So not her thing, but I had two then. It was great. Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you for mentioning that, Nancy. Lucy, who's in the chat, is running for Chanhassen City Council, and Lucy, absolutely wish you the best. If I was in Chanhassen, I'd vote for you. Lucy's very awesome and very pro-environment, which we need. We like to see. Oh, speaking of that, too, if you missed the MN 350 and Carver County 350 candidate forum on the climate crisis, please go back and watch that. It was a great conversation. I wish there was more candidates to have gotten their opinions out there, but the three of us that was fun. It was awesome. And it's something that we really need to take seriously. So Lucy, I appreciate your commitment to that, to stopping the climate crisis or slowing it down. And that was a great conversation. I encourage everyone to go watch. All right. Down to last 2 minutes. So I will just say, don't forget to vote. If I have one request for you guys, it's to reach out to someone who you think might not vote and make sure that they vote. Don't even need to tell them who to vote for. Just make sure they vote. I mean, of course, it'd be helpful if you told them about my race, but but make sure that they vote, right? Make sure that that they can do that. There's a lot of folks on the community boards I've noticed that are offering free rides to the polls and to your early voting places. If you need that, take advantage of it. I know there's services through the county as far as transportation that could help with that as well. Make sure that someone that you know and love votes. such an important year this year. I know we say that every election, but this truly is one of the most important elections of our lives. Oh yeah, Nancy, thank you for putting that in the chat. That's the MN350 video. Highly recommend it. All right, team. According to my son, drinking oat milk is good for the environment too. Yeah, that's what I heard. It tastes great. All right, enough of that. So I will see you guys at 4 o'clock for our phone bank, Team 47 phone bank. If you're interested in helping us, either phone banking, writing postcards, that kind of thing, get in touch with us through the website, through social media, whatever, we're available. I always tell folks I am available. I can't answer the phone during the day when I'm working, so that's illegal to campaign on state time, but I will be taking some time off of work to strictly focus on the campaign as we head into the home stretch. So I will be available to chat and do whatever we need to do to win this election. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm feeling good. All right, 3 o'clock, guys. All I have to say is just be kind. Be kind to each other. Know that, especially volunteers on campaigns are volunteering their time to do something that they believe in, and they deserve kindness as well. So just be kind and wear your mask. Please wear your mask. Wash your hands. Take care of your fellow humans in this community. And we can, I know it sounds cheesy, but we can get through this together. It's going to take all of us together, but we can get through it together, and we will. And we've got a bright future. Guys, I know it's going to be tough. There's going to be really, really tough decisions to make, but we can do it. This community is just awesome, and I'm so proud to be a part of it with all of you guys. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done. All right, we will see you guys at 4, and for the rest of you, I will see you next week for our, is it our egg town hall ready next week? I believe it is. All right, see you later. Take care, everyone.